Welcome to the Liebherr reversing door hinge pictorial and video. Remember, read the instructions before starting. Be safe, and remember, this is a two-man job. Here are the tools needed for this process. Remember, make sure the unit is screwed to the wall or your red stabilizing brackets are still installed. Here are the parts needed for this process. Please refer to this video and the manual that is included with the parts. Step 1. Open the refrigerator door. Release the spring tension on the top and the bottom hinges by turning the indicator screw counterclockwise. There are the numbers 1 and 0 stamped on the hinge. In the tension state, the screw is in position 1. During turning the screw, move it to the right. It requires 8 full turns, 360 degrees until the screw is in the position 0 and the hinge is released completely. Now you may close the refrigerator door. Remove the screws on the bottom hinge bracket and remove the screws on the top hinge bracket. And now you may remove the refrigerator door. Removing the screws from the top of the panel. Removing the screws from the bottom of the panel. Now you may grab the center of the door and lift the door till it releases. You will pull it away from the chassis and lay it on a flat surface so you can change out the brackets later. Now, remove the covers inside the opening on the top and the bottom hinges. Pry out the covers at the marked position using a small flathead screwdriver. Remove the bottom cover. Pry out the cover at the marked position using a small flathead screwdriver. Note, these covers can be reused in the opposite position. If snap lugs on the covers are broken during removal, use the new covers provided with the reversal kit. Now, remove the top covers. Pry out the cover at the marked position using a small flathead screwdriver. Remember, these covers can be reused in the opposite position. Now, take a flathead screwdriver and stick it against the front bracket between the folding mechanism of the hinge and pull outward. This will release the hinge to come in the full outward position. Behind there is a plastic cover. Remove the plastic cover and then also remove the 2 torque 30 screws. There's 2 screws on the top and 2 screws on the bottom. Once the screws are removed, the hinge will pull away from the chassis. Now, remove the plastic bracket. And reinstall it on the other side by turning it 180 degrees. It will snap back into place. Now, you may repeat this process on the bottom. Take your flathead screwdriver, stick it against the flat part of the hinge, and pull outward. You may also do this with your bare hands, as long as your tension screw is completely released. Once that's pulled out, pull your Wi-Fi modular out from the bracket. Remove your rubber stopper at the end of it. Remove your 2 screws. Remember, they're torque 30 screws on your hinge, and pull your hinge away from the chassis. Now, you may remove the bracket and swap it to the other side by flipping it around 180 degrees. This will lock back into place on the opposite side. Once the bracket is in place, you may reinstall your Wi-Fi modular. Once Wi-Fi modular is installed, now you may replace the hinges. Screw the hinge removed from the bottom right into place on the top left. use the screws that you removed from the earlier step. To screw on the hinge correctly, the fastening holes on the hinge must be in line with the bolt holes on the chassis housing. Screw the hinge removed from the top right into place on the bottom left, using the screws from the previous step. Once the hinge is in place, remember, use the torque 30 screws to reinstall the hinge to the chassis. Now that the hinge is installed, close the hinge softly against the chassis to ensure proper operation. And if you haven't installed the Wi-Fi modular again, you may put that back into place now. Now it's time to put the rubber cover back over the Wi-Fi modular. Now you can snap the covers back into place. If the lugs are broken, use the new covers that were supplied in the reversal kit. Now it is time to work on the door. Make sure you lay the door down where it's easy to be worked on. Make sure if you lay it on the counter, make sure that you lay some protective material between the door and the counter. Now you can mount one bracket of the reversal kit onto the refrigerator door on the top left using the screws in the previous step. This bracket is stamped with left hinge on the inside. If reversing the hinge from the left to the right, use the bracket stamped right hinge. Once the bracket is back installed on the door, you will repeat that process on the bottom, mounting the second bracket of the reversal kit on the refrigerator door on the bottom left using the screws from the previous step. Before installing the bracket, take a flathead screwdriver and press in against the foam on the door so the new bracket has a place for the slots to sit while installing the new screws. Now that you've completed this process of installing both brackets on the top and the bottom of the door, you may reinstall your door on the chassis of the unit. Once your screws are secured to the door, remember, make sure you have a clear path to the chassis when carrying the door. It is quite heavy and awkward. Now that you have a clear path back to the chassis, carry your door back to the chassis of the unit. Align the bracket on the bottom with the hinge and press against the chassis. Align your top bracket with the hinge and press against the chassis. Once you have in place, have someone assist you by installing the screws on the top. Remember, those are the torque 30 screws that you removed earlier. Connect the refrigerator door to the hinges using the screws that you removed in the earlier steps. Turn in the screws through the top bracket, but remember, don't fully tighten the screws for now. Once your top screws are installed, move to the bottom of the chassis and align the door horizontally. The notches on the top and the bottom angle brackets must be in line with the marked edges of the hinges. Once you've confirmed that they are aligned, you may tighten the screws on the bottom and the top. Once they are tightened, you will open the refrigerator door. When the door is open, make sure for correct operation and the door swings smoothly and closes correctly. Turn the tension screw on both hinges clockwise as far as it will go. Be sure to continue until the screw will no longer turn to provide the correct spring tension in the hinges to allow the door to seal correctly when closed, as seen in this diagram, number 21. Now turn the set screws on the top angle brackets and make sure they're finger tight. Turn the set screw into the bottom angle bracket and make sure it is finger tight. The door reversal is now finished, and you may install your panels. Thank you for watching this short video on door hinge reversal. For information for service, please contact the numbers below. Thank you.